Good morning, Judy.
Good morning, Krishna. Great to see you.
Likewise. What do you think about the Cassie session?
Absolutely great. The piece I love the most, if you think it's a revolution, it's not. I loved how she put everything in perspective. And I love all of the analogies. And you can see from the comments, a lot of people were really loving her analogies. Great,
Yeah,
great way to start the day.
I think what stood out for me is often people think AI is very complex to understand and a lot of technical jargons. I think she greatly demystified and simplified it. The food analogy, the kitchen analogy was spot on.
Yeah.
I think it also highlighted some of the things that has been on my mind, which is people talk about build versus buy when it comes to AI. And build versus buy in a kitchen analogy would be: do you want to cook a meal for 1,000 people in your kitchen, or you want to you want to buy it,
Yeah.
right? And also complex products, like if you're making a Michelin star rated food, making an analysis on a daily basis, it's going to be a lot of work than hiring a specialist to do it. So to me, that's stood out. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're here on the next session. We're going to talk about generative AI roadmap for better support experience. And Judy, I would like to hear your opinions on some of the possibilities with generative AI, and also want to talk about the directional vision for SupportLogic and what we're doing in the generative AI space. There's so much buzz about AI in the industry right now. Almost every week, every company is announcing something in the AI space. And I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. There's a lot to do here. It's a lot of exciting things. And I think it's not only an AI revolution, it's also a support revolution that's going on. So that synergy is pretty awesome to see. All right, let me kickstart and talk about some of the stuff that what an industry should generally look for when it comes to AI and AI in the context of applying it in the customer support, customer success industry. And I covered some of this in the opening keynote, the concerns about AI that a business should worry about, the experience that will potentially get impacted if it's not implemented right. AI technology, if it's not implemented right, could have serious implications for customer trust and experience. So I want to kickstart with that, and I want to highlight that one more time. This is the buzzword you're seeing in the industry right now, right? Every company which is thinking about enterprise AI is thinking about these keywords there: safety, trust. How do you manage privacy? How do you make sure AI is transparent? How do you make sure AI doesn't have bias built in? How do you ensure compliance? How do you handle hallucinations? So on and so forth. And as I was saying in my opening keynote, the consequences for this technology is broadly can be broken down into three segments. Technological consequences, which means the way we build technology is going to change quite significantly with the adoption of AI. It has societal implications. As a society, how we're going to operate. It has already been impacted by AI, and the impact is going to go even more. And then the business implications, how businesses are going to be impacted, which businesses will thrive with the adoption of AI, and which businesses will be left behind. All of that is going to happen in the next coming decades, which is exciting, and also for some it might be a little scary as we go through this revolutionary phase. So one thing I want to talk about is that I think it's absolutely paramount that any business which is out there, which is looking to incorporate AI, whether it's a enterprise or whether it's a consumer-facing business, we definitely have to take a responsible approach to AI. I think Cassie's keynote today also highlighted some of the concerns. I think the kitchen analogy that she was talking about is, if you make a cookie in a kitchen, how do you make sure the cookie is safe to eat? How do you make sure you don't get food poisoned? So on and so forth. And there's a responsibility lies with many, many people in a business. So this is the foundational approach we are taking within SupportLogic. And we've always taken this approach since day one of the company. Safety, security, enterprise readiness is foundational to what we do at SupportLogic, and this is no different for AI and generative AI specifically, and we're going to take some extra care, especially with the power of this technology. We're going to take extra care. So, Judi, I want to get your thoughts on this. What is your take on this about security, safety, and privacy concerns that you see with the customers in the industry today?
Thank you, Krishna. It is a concern. And, I'm going to take this back to the build versus buy conversation for a second, because we have watched the support industry for decades go in a build approach, right? And today we still see organizations that have legacy technology created by vendors that aren't even in business anymore, but they're so attached to, let's say, an antiquated ticketing system that was built, or something that they morphed from a technology vendor into their own. This to me is exactly what we don't want to repeat. And I would say to organizations who are having these thoughts on, let's say, build versus buy right now, because of security, because of privacy, because of needing to be enterprise ready, this is probably exactly the time you don't want to be building. Leave it to the companies who are uber focused and laser focused on these things, because then these three things that are listed here can quietly fall off, if you will, because you've left it in the hands of companies who are laser focused on it. The last thing you would want to do, in my book, if you were in a support organization today, is go out and build your own or roll your own, however you want to say that, and then have these three things be something that you have to focus on every moment. Let the vendors do that and let them take care of that. I think it's absolutely critical, because we can't repeat the mistakes that we made decades ago.
Yeah, I think, Judi, you're absolutely right about leaving it to the specialists and vendors who are the experts in the space. There's also a place for organizations to build their own AI technology, right? It's not like you have to buy everywhere. There are scenarios where build absolutely makes sense, but you still have to take security safeguards and responsible approach, whether you're building it or you're buying it vendor. I think it applies really on a case-by-case basis for sure. So the next point I want to talk about is that foundationally we should treat AI as the new electricity. And what we mean by this is that today we don't see electricity as a technology. Electricity permeates everything that we do. It's foundational to what we do in the industry right now, right? So I think it's important that the companies see AI in the very same way. It's going to be there everywhere in the industry. And want to think about when you think AI as an electricity, it becomes table stakes. It's something that's going to be everywhere. It's going to be transparent. You don't even think about it. You think it's essential for everything that you do. It also means that electricity also, we're very dependent on it, right? And then we can't function, we can't think about modern lives without electricity. And I think we're heading in that direction when it comes to AI. I think there will be a day where where our ability to function effectively in the society will be greatly limited when AI is not there, right? And I think it's good progress for the technology, but it also means, just like for electricity, we have taken so many safety measures and redundancy measures and ensure that we always have access to electricity, or we have a backup access to electricity if there's an outage. I think we need to think about these things when it comes to using AI in the industry, and that's something SupportLogic as a company we have been very focused on. The third point I want to talk about is explainability is absolutely essential in the AI space. And what we mean by this is that we cannot treat AI as a black box. And foundationally, the way AI works, and Cassie's keynote also talked about it, is that AI works through examples. And because it works through examples, we're not writing specific instruction sets for everything that we are doing. The explainability can get lost, but there are ways to get around it. And especially when you're deploying AI in an enterprise segment, you want that explainability. You want to understand why the prediction was made and be able to trace it back. And that gives you a peace of mind. It gives you trust in the system, that you know the system is performing as it's supposed to perform. And this is something I've seen in the industry, that when an AI makes a prediction, often the prediction can come so early in your life cycle of whatever you're trying to predict. A lot of people tend to dismiss it. They think, oh, wow, this prediction doesn't seem like right. You're making prediction way too early. And without explainability, the trust factor gets lost. So that's foundational. What are your thoughts on this, Judi? And we've seen this with our customers too. And what are your thoughts on that?
You're absolutely right. And, I think, for us, the underpinning at SupportLogic is our customers need to be able to trust what we present to them and that our data is correct. And, it does take, especially now we're still in early stages. We have some amazing customers for a company our age and our size, but it does take more communicating. It's not something that just comes out of the box without an explanation. We need to have those conversations with our customers, with each other. Customers talk to each other as well through our community. And I think this is key. It's what we learned, let's say during COVID, during the amount of transformation that was going on. We have to talk about the why. The why is so important, because if you can do the why conversation effectively, why we're doing something, why was this predicted, you give that sense of comfort and that safe place where people can land and trust you. And it all does tie back in this case to, a trust. And so explainability is absolutely key, Krishna.
Yeah. And we have seen this over and over with our customers, and we've added functionality into the product to increase the visibility of how the AI operates. And that's continuing to do that is absolutely important. And third point I want to talk about is that there's always this purpose-built AI versus very generic AI. And I want to talk about a very specific example in the next slide. And the way the industry is shaping right now is we have a lot of general purpose AI that is coming to the market. It's mostly targeted towards end users. Adopting that technology to enterprises may or may not work. In most cases, won't work. And I'll give you some examples of how this fails. So it's important that AI gets very vertical specialization and also has a data specialization. Data specialization is absolutely important. Domain specific and domain awareness is very important. It's not just the models themselves have to be domain aware and domain specific. It's also the workflows that are surrounding the predictions, so surrounding the recommendations. There is a lot of domain specific workflows that seems to be able. That's what makes AI projects successful, not just the technology itself. And always I've given this analogy. The technology is like your engine in the car, and you can't drive just with an engine. You need so many things around the engine: the wheels, the seats, there's the brakes, and so many other safety functionality that needs to be bolted on around the engine to really harness the power of the engine. And so that is something often gets lost in the AI hype. People get so excited about what the technology can do, and they really don't think about all the other elements that makes the technology, harnessing the power of technology possible. So let me walk you through a very specific example. Now, this is a conversation in any day in support, right? A customer reaching out to a support rep and saying they're not happy with support, right? And this is conversation on any particular day. May look on the surface business as usual. In SupportLogic's technology, we're extracting all the signals using natural language processing, things like frustration, confusion, so on and so forth. So on the surface, it just looks like, okay, it's just signal extraction that we are doing. So what's the big deal about it? But the big deal about this is that there are a lot of domain-specific nuances that needs to be captured. For example, in a business-to-business email communications, you're probably using an email which has some politeness embedded in them. Like you can say, good morning, you can say, thank you, best regards. These are just politeness. And if you just run it through a regular sentiment model, you would assume the customer is being polite and happy. But the true kernel of unhappiness may be embedded in two paragraphs or 2 lines somewhere in the body of the message. Now, in the technical support context, if you are in a technology company and you're in technical support context, customers may copy-paste error messages in the body of the message. And the error message can contain something like something failed, something crashed. And this will be treated as negative sentiments if you don't pay attention to that. Then in business-to-business settings, you have headers, email headers, signatures, footers. Lots of things can trip AI. So it's very important to be aware of the content space, because in a B2B setting, all this content awareness is important. And navigating around it and to extract the true signal is so foundational. And this is why domain knowledge is super important. Second thing is, what kind of signals you're going to extract in an AI system? That's also very domain specific, right? The signals that you would be interested in a support scenario is very different from the signals you'd be interested in, let's say, healthcare industry or some other industry. There you might be looking at different kinds of signals than the one you'd be interested. And then workflows that get attached to it. It's also very important. So this is where I think, again, there's a lot of misunderstanding in the industry. I've seen that people think that an AI model is an AI model. It works everywhere. No, it doesn't work everywhere. It's very highly data specific. It's industry specific. And so that needs to be factored in. And don't forget the importance of user experience and workflows. Cassie talked about that revolution that we're going through is an UX revolution. ChatGPT is a UX revolution. And the UX revolution is also foundational for AI to succeed. What's your thoughts, Judi? What is your take on this?
Yeah, Krishna, support organizations, we've worked with them for years and years and years now, right? Every support organization, is a unicorn. They think they're different. They think they're special. And by the way, they are. Except when it comes down to something like this, there's a common baseline, if you will, of the terms that we know in support that will cause problems. But then you build upon that to the tip of the pyramid for specific company words, because a word that I might use today in my support organization as a good term for another company might be a very negative term. Mm-hmm. We could use the term false positive. Well, is it false or is it positive, right? So we need to tune these models to be effective for the support organizations. And again, it ties back to the trust in the data, the trust in the model. And, I'm really proud of our team here at SupportLogic for the focus and care that we give individually to our customers to understand their support business, but their nuances. We can get it 80% there, kind of, if you will, with the generic. But that last 20% of tuning is where, the value
really makes a difference. Yeah. I think drawing back to the car analogy again, the engine might be the same, but the packaging really defines whether you're driving a truck or an SUV or a sports car or a sedan. And they all have very different use cases. Yes, foundationally might be the same engine, the tuning might be a little different, but then the other workflows and other things that goes around it, really what makes a car special. So you really have to understand what is the car you want for your use case. So that's important, and picking the right car is important. Picking the right vendor for the right car is also important. Yeah. The other point I want to talk about is that AI is not something we should treat as a static entity. And this is where I've seen lots of projects, internal in-house projects have had issues. The models gets built and it performs great. And then you deploy it, it performs great for a while, and then it starts to not perform that great. And just like engine, you need tune-ups. You need consistent maintenance and upgrades, and sometimes you may have to replace it and put a new engine too, right? And I think this is where ROI of some of the internal projects, it gets really tricky because the constant upkeep and maintenance of machine learning models is something people tend to overlook. And also making the feedback loop system seamless as part of your workflow so that the person who's using the product and gaining value from the recommendation can tell the machine learning model, this is working, this is not working, so that you can reinforce and upgrade the model on a timely basis is so vital. And without the feedback loop, data will change with time. The ingredients will change with time. And then what worked, the model worked for a different ingredient won't work for a new ingredient. And especially in the support space, there's so much volatility and change in data. There are seasonalities. You release a new product to the market. It brings a new set of issues that you never had before. So the data set is never static. So the model needs to catch up with it. And this feedback loop is highly essential. Another point I want to talk about is that if you look at our landscape of technology adoption in the world today, and then take any technology out there, almost everything is an hybrid model. There's no one specific winner in any category. If you look at cloud deployments, we have public cloud and private cloud. If you look at cars, we have all different kinds of cars because there is a place for every one of them. Similarly, for AI, the roadmap and the way we're looking at it is the world, we will have a multiple options for large language models. And also there is an option going to be for small language models. So today you have publicly available large language models. You can access them through an API. They're going to continue to exist. They're going to continue to develop, and they're going to get more sophisticated and more powerful with time. We'll also have privately hosted large language models. And a lot of exciting work is happening in this space, especially there's a lot of open source projects that are coming in that are building large language models, which are performing and outperforming almost every week basis. So there is going to be this private large language models also available. And then small language models are basically language models built specific to your private data set. And these are models that are not, the data is not available to the public corpus. So they won't be available for public LLMs, right? So there will be a place for that also. The small language models also has performance benefits. Not everything has to be a large language model. Large language model will perform certain tasks better. Small language models, the inference will be faster. The cost of operations will be lower. So I think it's going to be an hybrid world. And directionally, this is where SupportLogic is also heading. We will offer private LLMs for companies, which needs that security, trust, and privacy. And private SLMs is already something we'll be offering for all customers. And then public LLMs, wherever it makes sense, the public LLMs will be available. The next point I want to talk about, Judi, this is, I covered this in the opening keynote, and it's a very important topic to talk about. So today, in the support world, the systems of engagement is super fragmented. We have cases coming in, we have chat conversations coming in, and we have voice conversations coming in. And for some companies, there is also interactions in discussion forums and social media, so on and so forth. So data from your customers is fragmented already in different channels. And then the next layer on top of that is you may use multiple systems of record. So you may use, just give an example, Salesforce, Service Cloud, or Zendesk, or Freshdesk, or Dynamics, or any one of the ticketing system out there. And you may have more than one. We are seeing a lot of customers having more than one ticketing system for multiple reasons. Maybe you have an acquisition, and the company that acquired is in a completely different ticketing system. Or maybe your engineering prefers to use a different ticketing system like Jira, even for external customer support interactions. And then you have a tool like Service Cloud for others. So there is fragmentation of data, customer data, into multiple databases and basically hosted in multiple different vendors, cloud services. And then on top of that, we see a world where there's going to be human agents servicing customers and there's going to be virtual agents servicing customers. So there's also going to be a fragmentation in terms of customer experience and support experience that your customers are going to receive based on who they're going to talk to, which human being on which side of the planet, and which virtual agent in which cloud, right? Those are all going to have different experience. So it's absolutely crucial that support experience is consistent and it's unified. Just like you give quality assurance, if you buy a product today and from a trusted vendor, you can pick any sample, the quality is assured. Can we do this for support? Today, this is what a lot of organizations struggle with, and this is what the roadmap that I'm going to share today is super exciting. And this is what SupportLogic is going after. How do we ensure you provide consistent support and consistent support experience to your customers? So let me pause here, Judi. What are your take on it? I know you've been in the industry for so many years. Can you tell us about the challenges of what I've outlined here?
Krishna, yes, absolutely. Here's a perfect example. Let's say that you're brand loyal to the Westin Hotel and you love everything about the Westin, and you go to a Westin in a different city and you have an awful experience, right? That affects your entire brand loyalty because you're so surprised. You always have a great experience at a Westin. How did you go in this one city and it was a poor experience, right? It starts again shaking the foundational trust that you have. And so for companies, and you touched on something, you talked about the mergers and the acquisitions, and the pace of that right now in support is just phenomenal. And so if you have a customer, customer A, and you're supporting customer A, and one of your acquired companies also supports customer A, and you might have 2 or 3 other acquired companies that are supporting that same customer. If you're not able to present, to your agents, to your managers, to your leadership, to customer success, everything that you know about that customer, it doesn't matter which acquired company at that moment is handling them. What matters is that they're receiving that consistent support from you as an entity. And, we've talked about support experience for years. Even when I was at TSIA, I think one of the first papers I ever wrote about was, what did you have to do for the support experience across the enterprise? And this is why I love this conference this week, and I love our product and everything about it, because we are finally saying support experience does impact every single other business unit that we have. We have so much data, so many insights. And even though it's complex and it's hard and heavy to get to it, there's tools like ours that will take that heavy and hard away from you. And the effort that our agents put in to doing some of these tasks today, the swivel chair to go look in this system, to look in that system, to see, something about a customer, it doesn't have to be this hard. And how amazing that, for instance, we could go across an entire enterprise, and in one moment, if you, for instance, Krishna, were presented with an escalation, you can do one quick thing and you can see the open JIRAs. What did they chat with us last week about? What open support cases that didn't turn into JIRAs? And all of that is presented to you in seconds, maybe a minute. And you can, as our CEO, have an effective conversation with a customer where before, and you've used this example with me, if you ask for an update, right? People have to go to Slack. They have to go ask people on the team. They go into the ticketing systems, and then maybe, there was that one chat you should see, because in that chat, they were pretty annoyed and upset with us, but you missed it altogether. And you never saw that source of frustration or anxiety or anger. But again, for me, especially on day 3, improving the agent experience, improving the manager experience, and removing that stress footprint that doesn't have to be there in the first place. That's, what has me so excited about our roadmap. I told you years ago when I met you, this product transforms support. And I am 1000% still convinced of that, Krishna.
So, Judy, I think I want to also add one more point to what you already said. You said it very eloquently, but even if you don't have multiple acquisitions, you have multiple product lines, often the support experience across product lines is inconsistent. And in fact, impacts your brand experience, and it has a negative halo effect. And you get a bad experience in one place and you go to the other side. Anyway, so let's talk about some of the most exciting roadmap functionality we're doing right now. And one of them is we're doing a integrating. We always have supported, SupportLogic always supported multiple CRM types. And you could have any CRM type, you're being agnostic to CRM type, and you could see the insights SupportLogic provides. What is exciting now is we're offering the ability to take multiple CRMs or even multiple instances of the same CRM. You can connect them and you can get one unified dashboard. So you have one place where you get unified visibility across all your customers. So for example, you could have Jira for some customer support. I know there are customers out there using Jira for customer support. Or you could use Zendesk and Salesforce, both. And you can have all three of them servicing. Your support engineers can service their customers on all the three different platforms, but you can monitor, you can do quality assurance, you can understand what's happening across customers, all this using these three different systems of record. One place you can look at this dashboard. Super excited about this functionality. This is coming out second half of this year. Right now we are piloting this out. This is going to be a game changer for a lot of businesses out there. Second thing I want to talk about, Judy, this is we talked about the consistency of support experience, right? And depending on which support engineers you talk, support engineer, somebody could be their first day in the office, or a support engineer could be a seasoned support engineer in a 10-year work experience. Your experience will differ depending on who you land when you call support. And this is a consistent challenge support organizations face, especially when hiring is very difficult. Training is an ongoing process for support engineers. Retention is also a big challenge in organizations for support engineers. So there's a lot of constant turnover, and you have new people coming in. They need to be trained. Providing consistent support this is why it is very challenging for organizations. So what can generative AI can do in this space? So this is what I want to talk about today, and we're going to have a deep dive session later today at 11 a.m. Let me talk you through what the roadmap is here. So there is a product offering called Agent SX, which is a product specifically meant for support engineers to deliver consistent and great support experience to customers. And there's so many different assistants we can provide. So let me walk you through very quickly. First thing you worry about when you're doing support is language skills, because you may hire people who may not be the English being a native language. They could be technically very brilliant, but may not necessarily have the right language skills. So that's something in hurdle a lot of companies have to overcome. So for that, generative AI, there are features we have this has already been released. We have features we have that allows you to translate language. We can do grammar assistance. Second thing is you worry about soft skills. Now, an engineer could be technically brilliant, has good language skills, but not necessarily soft skills. Soft skills is something tricky one. You have to learn with experience when you're interacting with customers. If you never interact with customers before that much, you may not have empathy. You may not have all the soft skills required to keep the customers happy. So that's something AI can help you with. And third thing is troubleshooting. Again, if a new engineer joins a company, how do they learn the art of troubleshooting? Now, art of troubleshooting is different from the technical skills and product knowledge. You can have brilliant product knowledge, but may not necessarily have a systematic approach to troubleshooting customer issues. That's an acquired skill that you learn with interacting with more and more customers and solving more and more problems. What can AI do to assist there? And the fourth one is just process and compliance, right? You want to make sure you're doing the right thing with your customers. You want to make sure you're documenting everything that you're interacting with your customers. And there, again, AI can offer you guidance. And then collaboration. Support is not necessarily a siloed functionality anymore. You have to collaborate with engineering, you have to collaborate with product teams, or you have to collaborate with other support engineers. And sometimes you have to collaborate with your customers too to solve the issue. So what can AI can do in their assistance space? And then there are a couple of interesting features there I want to talk about. And the last one is the technical part, right? What can you do to do technical assistance? And so things like routing the case to the right support engineer, things like helping the support engineers to do knowledge management. These are very foundational for delivering consistent support experience. So the way we are looking at the spectrum is, in order to be a super agent, if you're already the best-in-class support engineer out there, you have to possess all of the skills. Getting everyone who has all these skills is a unicorn. But AI, with the assistance of AI, with the assistance of augmentation of human skills, you can make every human agent a super agent. And that is the most exciting part of this technology. What are your thoughts, Judi? I want to pause here, and I want to show you a little more on the roadmap here on the screenshots, and there's going to be a demo coming up at 11 a.m. later, but I want to get your thoughts first.
Krishna, this is important, very, very important, because here's the thing. You wrapped a bunch of words in there. You talked about employee turnover, attrition, onboarding, all of this. I would say the biggest risk that organizations have today is if we're not augmenting our support agents, our support engineers with these types of tools, they will leave us to go to a company that is. And that's important. We know how smart these agents are, how loyal they want to be, but they're dedicated to the art of helping people. Let's make it easier for them to help people. That's what they do. That's what they want to do. That's what they're passionate about. And they're okay to be augmented because the augmentation does make them superstars and heroes. Let's help them do that by putting these things in place. I'm so passionate about this because they don't want to work as hard as they have to in the art of supporting a customer.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, so let's quickly go through some of this. Judi, I want to show you how the language translation works. So this is a functionality we are rolling out fairly soon. So we are talking about bidirectional language translation. What is bidirectional language translation? If a support engineer receives a case from Japan or from South America where English is not a native language, the system will automatically do the translation and show the translated text. Not only show the translated text, the sentiments we detected from the translated text also will be shown and will be used to predict escalations, so on and so forth. But not only that, the support engineer, when they respond back to the customer, they can actually respond back in their native language. And they can just type it in English, it'll automatically do the translation. The translation capabilities have gone up significantly. This is not a new technology. Translation has been there in the industry for quite some time. But with all the advancements of AI in the last several years, the translation capabilities have really, really improved to the level that you can even do sentiment detection on the translated text with a little loss in meaning. And the translation now can support in a wide variety of languages. So basically, this opens up where you can hire engineers. I mean, a lot of support organizations struggle to hire engineers with technical talent, troubleshooting talent, wanting to do support in one specific, and the language skills possessed to. So it's a big challenge for a lot of organizations. This completely opens the door. You can hire engineers anywhere in the world, and they can support customers anywhere in the world. So this is one of the functionality which is coming. I'm super excited about. Second thing is, okay, language translation is one. If you're typing something in English, maybe you still don't have very good command over English. Of course, you can translate that into Japanese or some other language, but you don't want those language to look broken, even in the translated text, right? So we've added grammar assistance here. So when they type a message, we can actually identify grammatical issues, fix them. And if you're using translation, it will also be translated correctly because you fix the grammatical issues. Again, this is two core fundamental things. Grammar is some of the issues I've seen a lot of companies struggle with, especially when they're offshoring the support organization They have maybe brilliant engineers, and when you're discussing complex support scenarios, language can become a barrier and grammar can become a barrier, and this breaks that barrier for support organizations. And then the third part of the language is more about soft skills, right? Now, you can write a message, and often we say this, right? People come across very differently when you write things versus how they are in front of live conversations. So often things can appear very rude to customers, or it can appear that you're not being very helpful and things of that nature. So there is, again, assistance generative AI can provide today that can change the tonality of the language, depending on what you want to do. You want to be more formal for a business user, you want to be more casual, you want to be assertive, you want to be empathetic. All those tonal changes, now you can do it with one click. You can write whatever you want to write, the core content, one click, the text will be transformed, and then you get the right tone. Super important. There has been studies which have shown that assertive messages improves customer experience quite a bit. So this is also super exciting. Want to get a quick thoughts on this, Judi?
This is so important. Not only can you match the tone, let's say, of your customer, you can change your tone to help the customer change theirs, right? I think this is a game changer. And you see me smiling here, Krishna, because even just in the interaction we're having, right? I'm matching your tone, you're matching mine. It helps us be better together. And I think for our agents, and especially, again, to global enterprises across the organization, we don't have to continuously train our engineers in soft skills and beating them about, when it comes to these things. Again, this is augmentation at its finest.
Yeah. Next, what I want to talk about is, and this is another very common challenge we see in the industry, is often support engineers make commitments to customers and don't keep up with it. Unfortunately for the customers. And this is a big issue because as a support engineer, you're juggling many things. You're getting an escalation on one side, an happy customer on the other side, and you may forget things. And so honoring the commitment is the biggest thing you can do to improve customer experience. So what we've done here is that if you're making a commitment in your conversation with a customer, we track the commitment automatically. And then we put that as a reminder into the product. So that next day you come in, the reminder pops up saying you need to reach back to the customer because you committed to the customer. So this is what we call as commitment assist for busy support engineers and for support engineers juggling many things. This is a very, very important feature. Super excited. This is already there in the product, and we're going to continue to enhance this in the coming months. And the fourth thing I want to talk about here is action items and recommendations. When you're looking at a support case, you're looking at the full conversational thread of a support case. So you can look at the entire history of the support case and say, hey, what is the next steps I need to provide to the customer? Generative AI today can help you to provide those next steps and recommendations and troubleshooting steps. Again, with one or two click, you can do this very, very easily in the product. And then prioritization assist, common challenge. I have 15 cases in my backlog. Which one I focus today? So giving that signal saying that this case is going to escalate, or this customer is continuously being unhappy, not only this particular case, but previous cases they opened, giving all those insights and helping you to prioritize your backlog is a huge deal for a lot of customers. So this is something the Agent SX product does today, and we're adding more capabilities there. Super crucial for backlog management and managing customer expectations and reducing escalations, so on and so forth. And then transcription assist is another really big feature. And what this does in our product today is that if you're having a conversation with a customer via Zoom meeting or making a phone call, whatever it may be, often you're required to store the summary of that conversation into as case notes into the product. This is a tedious process. A lot of support engineers don't like doing it because as soon as you get off the call, you want to fix the issue or you want to do something else. You're not in the mood to write the transcription. So we have automated this process. You can actually record the full session. Not only can you record it, the transcription gets stored automatically into the case notes. And then along with this, we have case summarization and account summarization functionality. These are two different functionality, but very, very powerful functionality. Case summarization means you can take a lengthy case, support case. You're going a lot of back and forth in a case. And a lot of those back and forth tends to be just noise. You're just scheduling meetings. You're checking status, going back and forth. The core component of those case will be buried in some comments. So somebody reviewing the case have to go through all this noise to really understand what's going on in a case. So case summarization allows you to get a summary in a very simple way. And then similarly extending this to an account. Now for a given account, they'll open multiple cases over time. So can you summarize what happened across all the cases they open and give a snapshot of what's the health of this account looks like? Super powerful feature. This is super exciting. This is coming down the road in the second half of this year. We've added collaboration functionality for screen recording and screen sharing. So you can, support engineers can share their screen, or you can do offline synchronization. You can record troubleshooting steps and send that video to your customers. It's completely baked into the product. You don't need to install anything new. Again, super powerful functionality. Down the road, we can even add transcription capabilities here. So not only you can record with voice, the transcript with text also can be added and sent along with your recording. So the short summary of this is a golden age for support engineers. There's so many assistants we can provide so that support engineers can really focus on delivering the best experience possible to the customers. So Judi, I know we have limited time left. Just want to close it out with your thoughts on this. I know this Gen AI space is happening so fast. So much innovation is coming. And you've said this before, this is the golden age for support. And what are your thoughts based on the roadmap that I shared with you today?
I'm terribly excited. You know that. I'm very passionate about support. Support is a very special place to be. Here's the thing. Support has done so much in the last 36 months, right, during COVID to transform. The muscle has been built. We know how to adopt this technology now. We know how to implement rapid change, rapid transformation. And for every leader, for every manager, for every agent, this is so exciting. This is the best stuff yet, because now not only are the tools there that we need and want, but we know how to implement them quickly. We know how to adapt and transform. And yes, I do say it's the golden age. It's a true renaissance for support. And again, support is getting that time in the sun. Things like you've just shown, this roadmap. Can you imagine how exciting and how transformed we're going to feel when we're delivering these experiences to our customers? Is what we've always wanted. We knew it was possible. And we just now have confirmation that it's real.
I think the technology is definitely arrived right now to deliver what we always dreamt of, right? So we have time for a few questions, Judi. So I want to. There's a question about language translation. How well it works for technical content? It's a great question. I think it's from Kim to Duan. This is a brilliant point, and I was talking about this in the earlier slide about domain awareness is super important. And domain awareness for translation is also super important. You cannot just take a technical language and verbatim translate it. It won't work. A lot of technical languages, if you verbatim do translation, it'll look very awkward to read. So this translation feature we're implementing here is going to look at keywords that are domain specific that should not be translated one by one. An example of this would be you could call, I'll throw a technical term called Docker, which is a software product. But Docker has a different meaning in English, native English. So you cannot literally translate Docker into Docker. It's actually a product name. So you don't want to translate that, right? So nuances like that needs to be taken care of. Again, AI technology today allows you to understand, identify those keywords and pull them out so that you don't need to translate them. And we can do the translation around it and preserve the integrity of those keywords. So that's something we'll be incorporated into this translation technology we are building, and we're going to roll out fairly soon. And there's one more question from Francois. And you're selling AI systems. Do you see that each customer can adapt the tool to fit their needs and brand, or are we moving to a world technology blunts a unique branding experience? Again, I covered this partly in the opening segment. We are going in the world of a hybrid AI. There will be technologies that you don't need to do a lot of customization per customer. An example of this would be things like providing summarization. Summarization is something you don't need to do a lot of customization. Generative AI can create summarization, really good summarization based on the raw text. You don't need to do a lot of customization that are very domain specific. But then things like translation, things like transcription, even transcription needs to be very domain specific, because you may throw a lot of jargons in a support language. That transcription, generic translation may transcribe them very differently. So it really depends on which space you're looking at. There's certain things you can use a single large language model across all customers, and some of them will be highly personalized per customer. All right, we got a few more minutes left, and maybe we can take one other question. I think we covered all the questions here. Let me double check.
I think we did.
Yeah. Awesome. Judi, any closing thoughts before we wrap up the session?
Thank you for having me with you this morning, Krishna, and for our customers who are out there, and for people who just want to talk about this with a support executive. I'm here, happy to have those conversations. Most of you who know me know how passionate I am about the support experience. This has been a great event, Krishna. Thank you for doing the opening keynote and for this. Look forward to the awards ceremony this afternoon. Some amazing stories out there already about customers and members of the industry are doing great things with AI. So stay tuned the rest of the day. Terribly exciting stuff.
Thanks, Judi. And I just want to mention that there is a session later today, which is everything that I talked about today will be demoed by Asad Akram at 11 a.m. I believe today. So stay tuned for it if you want to see the live demos of these. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.